Hey, brothers and sisters, we're back with 4 Minute Church, and as you watched yesterday, we're discussing this week some things you may not know about the crucifixion to clear up some questions that people have had that I've been asked over the years. And one of the questions I get asked most often is, who the heck was the high priest? Well, it's logical that would be a question, but depending on which gospel account you read, it looks like Annas is the high priest, or maybe it's Caiaphas, and sometimes it looks like there's two, but I know that in the Old Testament it says there's one high priest. What in the world's going on? So let's clear that up a little bit. Sometime around the time Jesus would have been between, say, 6 and 10 years old, Annas was appointed, and you may have also heard this, heard him called Ananias, same guy. Annas or Ananias was appointed as high priest by the Roman prefect. Being the high priest was a political position that came with a lot of power as well as a religious position. And so while the Roman prefect tried to choose someone that would be acceptable to the Jews, he also wanted somebody that would be acceptable to Roman authorities. So Annas was put in place sometime around Jesus would have been preteen. And he was the high priest for about 10 years. He was removed from office because he would call the Sanhedrin together and sentence people to death for crimes like blasphemy. We saw in one instance where they brought a woman who had committed adultery to be stoned. And while stoning was a biblical punishment, the Roman authorities said that the death penalty could only be approved by Roman authorities. So Annas was removed. His son was put in place. Not only did the people not like his son, the Romans didn't like his son much. So boom, a year later, he's gone. And that's when Annas' son-in-law, Caiaphas, becomes appointed high king by the Romans. Now, Annas had extreme popularity. People liked Caiaphas. Caiaphas was okay, but they really had loved Annas. And so they listened, even though Caiaphas had the legal authority, Annas had the popularity. He was kind of the power behind the throne. And so if you read the Gospels, it would just make sense that the first person that they would bring, that people who wanted Jesus punished would bring Jesus to, would be Caiaphas, and then to Annas. Annas sends him, it goes with Caiaphas to plead for Jesus' punishment. We know that Pilate sends Jesus to Herod, who sends Jesus back to Pilate, and Pilate sends them back to the Jews. Well, now it has to be Caiaphas that Jesus appears before, because only Caiaphas could call the Sanhedrin together. And the Sanhedrin, or the high Jewish ruling council, were the only ones that could pronounce punishment on Jesus. So there you go. Hope you find that interesting, but Caiaphas is the legal high priest with all the legal authority, but religiously, Anna still has the power and the love of the people. So there's our look at today, things you may not have known about Jesus. Until next time, may the Lord bless and keep you. May the Lord lift his face upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift his countenance upon you and give you peace. Love y'all. Peace out.